The Chicago Bulls are hiring Jordan Brink, an assistant coach, and as the director of player development. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, this is the exact type of hire that actually matters in a rebuild. It may not be flashy, it may not get all the headlines, but I'm telling y'all right now, when you look at what this dude has done over the course of his NBA career and his resume, you can see exactly why Bryson Graham and Tiago Splitter wanted him in here. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it for today, y'all. The Chicago Bulls just officially today hired Jordan Brink as assistant coach and director of player development. This is a guy that just won a championship with the New York Knicks. He brings experience coming over from Detroit and New York, and this matters because the Bulls have a young, raw roster that is still trying to define exactly what a lot of these players are going to look like for the Chicago Bulls on this roster. When you look at it too, his background is not just when you think of like just a coach that's on the end of benches, things like that. His background includes film, analytics, player development, everything. He brings in the modern type of player building and roster building that teams are looking for and that you want in your development. And when you look at it, this is a guy that started out with Detroit. He worked his way up through the video department and the development department before becoming there. Later, he moved into larger developmental roles with the New York Knicks as well. And this means that this is a guy that understands how to do the video work, which is good for preparation, development, all that type of stuff, and the on-the-court practice work as well, and actually putting that into development plans for players. When you talk about us losing Peter Patton as a player development, head of player development, and what that meant and how it may have hurt teams, you now get a guy in here who's done that. And I think that that's going to work very well for this team. You still have Wes Unseld as well on this team and what he's done as a developmental coach over his time. Brink is a guy that's seen both ends of player development. He's seen young players trying to figure it out and figure out their way into the NBA, but also he helped shape players that were already veterans into playing more type of fundamental basketball and the winning type of basketball, right? When you look at some of the players that he's worked with, of course, he's worked with Jalen Brunson, but also Jaden Ivey. Now, I know that the thing ended crazily with Jaden Ivey when he came down to it, but when you look at what Jaden Ivey was before his injury and how he developed, that's what it can help maybe Rob Dillingham. For people that are still Rob Dillingham truthers, I'm not one, but you look at it, Brink has helped players understand the change of pace, how to navigate over screens and how to be more than just speed. And that's what you come down to when you look at also the players that he's worked with, right? What the players that Jordan Brink has worked with over his career, it's a litany of players between big men to guards to everything. It's not just like when you look at like Peter Patton, he was a shooting coach, a world-renowned, one of the best shooting coaches you are going to ever find around the world. This is a guy that's worked with everybody from players like Jalen Duren, right? Who, again, I know what people are going to say, but Jalen Duren and what he did in the playoffs, but look at what Jalen Duren turned into in the regular season. A double-double threat, one of the better big men in the league, a pick-and-roll monster when it comes down to it. Also, Isaiah Stewart. He's worked with guys like Isaiah Stewart as well over this time, which really stands out as well in that, right? So you like that. I've talked about the Jaden Ivey part of it as well. Like, this is a guy that he really helped develop some players and work with some players. He helped work with Cade Cunningham also into that. I'm not saying he made or break any of these players, which no developmental coach does, but he's actually worked with real NBA players who have turned into all-stars in a lot of cases, and you can't overlook that. He was just on a championship roster as well. So, when you talk about how this can help the Bulls players, you look at all the litany of young, raw players that we still are trying to figure out exactly who they're going to be at the NBA level. Jordan Brink can bring in some of that. He can work with those guys. He can help achieve some of that. This is a really, really good hire in regards to it. Like, I think, like, I don't know if the Bulls could have done better than this, not at this point in the offseason. Like, of course, I know a lot of people are going to say you could have brought Peter Patton back. That wasn't realistic, right? Rob Dillingham may be one of the people who actually benefit from this the most. But we all know everything that we do is built around Caleb Wilson. And what Jordan Brink is going to be able to do when you look at it, he's going to be able to weaponize Caleb Wilson's strengths first while also still working on him with some of the things. You look at how, like, Detroit developed Jalen Duren, right? They didn't make Jalen Duren something he was not. They didn't try to make him a shooter. They didn't try to make him anything like that. But they worked around the things and the limitations that he had as a player as well as the strengths. And they built off of that. So you talk about the screen and roll, the short roll, right? All the type of things that we've talked about that Caleb Wilson can work with. Also the jumper, the half-court creation. These are all things that Jordan Brink has helped a player like Jalen Duren did. And while Duren and Caleb Wilson are very different types of players, when you look at kind of their strengths, a lot of their defensive strengths and even offensive strengths are kind of similar. Now, the one thing that's different for Caleb Wilson is that he did show more growth on the jumper in Summer League than what Jalen Duren's ever going to be as a jump shooter. But everything else, the setting screens, the cutting and running, the backdoor cuts, all those type of things, those are things that definitely transition over, and you can look at Caleb Wilson really working on and relying on as well. Then you look at that as Modest Buzelis, right? Modest, somebody who's already shown that he is at least an NBA starter, right? That's what we talked about in today's daily episode, that he's shown himself to be an NBA starter. But when you talk about the IQ things, the consistency things that Modest Buzelis needs to work on, the pick and roll reads, the attacking switches, understanding when and where to attack switches, weak side defensive patterns, not just understanding I can block this shot and catch this guy on the weak side, which Modest is really good at, but understanding how to use the patterns on the weak side of the defense to become a more consistent, turning it out. Modest's weak side defense right now is all instinct, which is really good because his instincts are advanced. But now he can take those instincts and turn them into something more consistently, forcing turnovers, right? That's something as well in that. The next step of Modest Buzelis' development, the fact that you have a guy like Jordan Brink in here who's going to help guide that development is really good. Dailyn Swain. Listen, I tell you what, when you look at how Dailyn Swain worked with McCullough as a primary ball handling and responsibilities in Summer League and stuff like that, that's also something that, Dailyn is a guy that I know a lot of Bulls fans are kind of over with right now. But if you look at Kevin McCullough Jr. and the work that Jordan Brink has did with that guy, he turned him into a primary ball handler. He understood how to increase that handle, right? He let him handle, he let him make mistakes, but he also had him guarding multiple positions. He let him run secondary pick and roll actions, like those type of things. That's really what you want to look at, right? So what Jordan Brink is really good at doing is looking at your strengths and saying, all right, let's turn those into NBA caliber strengths, not just strengths that you did in college or strengths that you did in high school. How can we turn those into NBA caliber strengths? And once we build off your confidence there, right, because those are what you've done for a while, now let's sprinkle in these other things that you're going to need to do differently than what you did in college, differently than what you did in high school. That's the sign of a true development guy, right? When it's that, all right, this is your comfort zone. We're going to operate in this at first. Once you get comfortable with those things, now this is what I need you to do to be an NBA player. And that's a more slow burn with it, right? That means you may not see the impact right away. You may not see the results that you see right away, but it is. I wonder if they're going to have him coaching something in the G. I don't know, right? We know that Billy Donovan III was just recently let go as the Windy City Bulls coach. We don't know who's going to be the replacement there. But when you look at Dailyn Swain going from a high usage player in college to a more low usage wing, that Jordan Brink is going to be really important in kind of getting Dailyn Swain over that hump and understanding how he needs to do something different. This is also going to be very huge for Noah Essengue. Jordan Brink is probably going to set some 1 and a 2 year development plan for Noah Essengue, and then they're going to evaluate, right? Like in 2 years, Noah Essengue would have 1 year left on his rookie scale deal, and so the Bulls may want to make a decision like that. When you look at how he worked with Mohamed Douara, I believe is how you pronounce the name, the development kind of progress there could be similar to how Noah Essenge's current profile is, with Noah being long, raw, athletic, those type of things. And so, you look at the plan that they had with Douara. It was sprint on every possession, rebound and push the break, right? Learn how to be the low man on some of those things, switching consistently, how to hedge and those type of things defensively. Build the confidence in taking the open shots. That's what you're going to try to do. It's not about turning Noah Essengue into a star. It's about turning him into somebody that's playable. And I think that Jordan Brink is going to be able to get that done, along with Tiago Splitter, who's also a really good development coach. You're starting to have a developmental system. But then the guy that I'm really excited about what this can mean for is Leonard Miller. Because development doesn't always mean just take more shots. And that's something that may not be on Leonard Miller's case. He's going to take shots, but not necessarily more than what he did last year. I think when you look at Leonard Miller's path this season for the Bulls, is to become a consistent 20 to 25 minute role player. Let's do that first. What do you have to do that? Rebound, run, switch defensively, crash the boards both offensively and defensively, take the open threes, make simple passes. That's what you're looking for in this one. That's what can help in regards to that one. So I think that you look at the real test for Jordan Brink is going to be out of Dailyn Swain, Rob Dillingham, Noah Essengue. Do you turn 2 out of 3 or all 3 of those guys to real NBA players? And it doesn't, like, by real NBA players, I don't mean starters. I don't mean they have to be stars. I don't mean they have to be 6 men. But can you turn those guys into actual rotation pieces that help your team win basketball games? And if he turns Rob and Dailyn or Dailyn and Noah into real NBA players, that's going to be a real big sign of that as well. So, that's good. Somebody asked what AC Law is. AC Law is the basically kind of like the assistant GM. It's a different role, but he's kind of like the assistant GM. He's also a scout, probably head of the player of the scouting department as well. That's going to be a lot of where he is. He's not really a development guy. He's a scouting guy. So that's what AC Law is going to be for this team. So still on the roster, still in that same role that he did with OKC Thunder. That's basically what AC Law did there. But I like this signing a lot, man. And I think that the video background is real huge for Jordan Brink, right? Because you love to see guys like Eric Spoelstra climbed up through the video room, right? Became somebody that was working in that video room and went on. Matt Lloyd, right? Somebody that people talked about could have been the guy that worked himself up through the video room to become something. So Brink worked up from video to analytics to coaching to development, all that type of stuff. He's coached summer league teams. I think he's coached some in the G2. That's really what you look at. So, those type of guys that have to climb the ranks to NBA franchises and do it over years, those are guys that usually you want to bet on. Now, it doesn't always mean that it's going to work out, but those are the type of guys that you usually do want to bet some on because they're worth it and they're worth investing that in, and you get it done. So we'll see. But I will say this, right? The things that you don't want to automatically assume that Jordan Brink is going to bring to this team. He's not the shooting guru that why I lost the name, the shooting coach that we had. Why am I at a loss for his name? Now, I just said it like 5 times on the show, but he's not a magic shooting guru. That's not what his role is going to be here, right? You're not going to give him credit for everything that developed in Detroit and New York, right? I don't want to mystify it, but a player development staff is staff-wide. It's not one person who's just that gets all the credit for player development. It's a staff thing. The Bulls have their player development staff, which they created a whole department for. That department did not get fired with AK and Eversley. So now, Jordan Brink's going to go work with those guys and with the data that they've covered and figure that out, right? It's not a magic wand. Don't think because you get the right development coach, it means that everybody that comes through your doors are going to magically turn into an NBA player. For example, the people who are still holding out hope for Patrick Williams, Jordan Brink coming here and being a great development doesn't all of a sudden you're going to wave a magic wand over Patrick Williams and he's going to turn into the player that some of y'all still hope he can turn into. That's not what happens here, but he's the detailed type of development coach that's going to help this team and that is going to help get over the hump. But it has to still come with Tiago Splitter. He's still going to have his role in there, the player development department, the roles in games. Everything kind of plays towards, when you're talking about a player development department, everything has to work in sync in that to get it done, and we'll see, right? But this perfectly fits what Bryson Graham and Tiago Splitter are trying to do. When you look at Bryson Graham, this season is about evaluation and growth, right? That's what this first phase is under Bryson Graham. It may last longer than the season. Evaluation and growth, right? And Tiago Splitter needs staff that can develop all different types of players. That's something that Jordan Brink can do. Still, a lot of it is going to be on Tiago Splitter, of course, that's why we brought him in here too, but it is. But what Brink's history does suggest about him is that he's flexible, right? He's going to be able to get that done. He doesn't believe in one size fit all development. He's going to come up with individual development plans for these guys, watching tons of tape on them. So he's going to be there. And that may be what he does initially when he comes down in here, right? When you look at the number of players that he's worked with, Jalen Duren, he needed to take his strengths and find ways to turn them into NBA talents. He did that. You look at what he did with Kevin McCullough Jr. He needed expanded reps. He did that, right? You look at what he did with Diawara. He needed guys to build off fundamentals and play with aggression. He did that. So it's those type of things that you're looking at that he did pretty damn well. Cade Cunningham, somebody who came in at the number 1 overall pick. The game needed to slow down with him. He was able to do those type of things. All good in regards to that one. So this is a solid hire for the Chicago Bulls, and one that I do think in the long run is going to pay off. Don't expect it to be, like I said, a magic wand where now he's coming in here in year 1, we see all of a sudden these guys turn into completely different players. This is something that you want to judge 2, 3, 4 years in, and how these guys have made steps along those ways and how they've done it. I always say, go back to the person that I think the Spurs were the best at Coach Pop was the best at describing what development is that you have to first find your foundation. And then at that point, it's like building Legos. You add something to it the next year on that. You then add something to it the next year on that. And then by the end of it, hopefully you have a complete player, and we'll see. We'll see. So overall, man, I love it. I think that is dope right now. I think this is a great hire. I think when you look at this guy's history, how he can fit in with Tiago and Bryson Graham's philosophies, this team just continues to make the right steps in the right direction and bring the right people in. That's it. Bring the right people in. That's all you can do. From the staff in the front office to the head coach and the coaching staff to the players on the roster. You have to have the right people and have the right vision and see that through. And that's something that we lacked with the last front office, right? We didn't have that consistently with the last front office. And so now hopefully we're gonna have that with this guy. So we'll see. Leonard Miller might lead the Bulls in rebounds. I highly doubt that coming off the bench, not with Josh Giddey on the roster. By the way, this is Vikram LOL. Just changed my YouTube account. I didn't want my whole name to be out there on the internet. That is hilarious. I mean, you had it out there on the internet for like 3 years, but hey, that's good. That's actually pretty smart, especially as you grow as a person. I'd rather Essengue earns P. Will's minutes. P. Will doesn't. There are no P. Will minutes right now. P. Will doesn't have minutes right now. So when people are like, I'd rather this dude play ahead of P. Will, okay, so you'd rather be on the back end of the bench not playing minutes, because right now P. Will ain't slated to get minutes. So everybody's gonna have to fight for it. The Bulls are actually acting like a well-run organization. What a breath of fresh air. Who the hell are you telling, bro? 100% right there with you. This is so foreign that we see a front office come in and they just look competent right away. It's crazy. It's crazy. I asked because they will cut Mo Gay, the young 6'11 kid, and that does 3 in blocks, not the older dude with this. Okay. I don't know. I must have missed your other question. Great hire. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's safe to say that we finally have a competent front office. I mean, it looks that way. I mean, it looks very competent right now. And the way that and intentional. I think that's the thing too. They everything has its intention in what they do. Hobo Raider, shout out to the super chat there. It says Bulls will go 82-0. Yeah, okay. All right. I thank you for the super chat, but like that's wild. Playing team at best, and that's perfectly fine. We're one of the youngest teams in the league and in a rebuild. If we're a playing team in the first year, that actually says a lot. That actually says a whole lot in a positive way. I may have missed it, but what is Brink's quick accolades? I'm not familiar with him. Worked with the New York Knicks, just won a title with the New York Knicks, helped develop and refine players like OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson. He was with Detroit before that. He helped develop Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey. I know that Ivey's career ended weird, but when you look at how Ivey was progressing before the injury, a lot of that was given to Jordan Brink. Worked with Kevin McCullough Jr., like a lot of players. So like he has a lot of accolades when it comes down to it. Yeah, I realize my data is definitely getting sold. I got to protect it somehow. That is hilarious. That's funny. I hope Patrick Williams turns around his career. I mean, hey, I can't blame anybody for hoping well for a player on their team. He just has to go out and prove it. Sup, GOAT. Atlanta has to cut 2 guys. Do you know the roster deadline date? Oh, they got a while for that. They don't have to do that until I think you can make it through the entirety of preseason without doing that. So you're probably looking about another month before they have to do that. Oh, wow, I like that hire. Let's go. It's a very good hire. Very good hire. Very good hire. I'm trying to be positive, but I have to believe it when I see it. I'm trying to be negative, but seeing is that's fair. I don't think anybody's going to blame you for saying seeing is believing, because when you look at what this team's been through over the last few years, I can't blame you for that. If this is done correctly, the Bulls will soar to new heights. Let's hope so. Like you said, if it's done correctly, that's the biggest question here. Is it going to be done correctly? And I guess we shall see in that one. But that's going to do it for y'all. For me on this one, I just wanted to bring this news right away. I felt like this was a really big hire. I was going to wait to cover it till tomorrow's daily episode, but as I looked more into him and I did more research, I'm like, no, this is actually a really damn good hire. So I wanted to bring that news to you guys, but I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or an upload. You can follow us at Bull Central Pod on every social media platform. Send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.